G'day everybody, it's Glen here from Southern Blue Regenerative, coming to you to talk to another one of our farm tour visits we're doing. Bruce Burton is down around the Dalesford-Trentham area, and he's producing broiler chooks as his main enterprise. How you going, Bruce?
Good, thanks, Glen. You?
Good, good. I just thought I'd get here. I just want to talk to you about how you got started with your farm. So you got a little piece of property that you purchased, used to be a dairy farm. Just wonder if you talk about, how you came across the property and where you got started.
We woke up in Melbourne one morning, being confined to living in the city, and decided that we wanted to get out and have a look around. And we disappeared into the country up this way. Fell in love with the area and found this wonderful, climate, soil, rainfall, and fell in love with that in the community. And I think for us, we started looking around and found, that the property was relatively affordable, and we stumbled on this block with a huge water license. Great pastures, or a little bit in decline, but an old dairy farm that the farmer was selling, unfortunately moving on. And, that was about 9 years ago now.
Right. And you got started, you're looking at, your main thing is broiler chooks. What sort of made you go down the regenerative farming avenue as far as what you're doing and working with someone like Darren Doherty and your planning?
Yeah, look, I think I come from a long line of beef farmers, so it was important that we stayed true to a lot of the work that my dad and his forebears had done. Animal welfare was really important to us, and we got interested once we'd bought the farm in the works of Salatin, and then that introduced us to Darren, and we could see this property and the surrounds, how it's surrounded in part by old growth eucalyptus forests, and it highlighted for us, how far and how much this property and this landscape has been denuded over, nearly 2 centuries.
Yeah.
And it was really important to us to, and the property had been run down. To be quite honest, it had been pushed really hard over the last 40 or 50 years with a dairy farm. And we really wanted to try and restore, a lot of the native, a lot of trees, and try and return the productivity of the soil, the carrying capacity, and just reintroduce what it must have been like all those years ago.
Yeah. Now, when I heard that, part of your exploration of what enterprise you want to do, you were looking at other properties around the region, went on a bit of a tour. And can you just talk about what happened on that tour when you were looking at other things?
Yeah, look, we found it fascinating. We did lots of tours, lots of workshops in different places. And there was a lot of things that we said, beef was always, I guess, originally going to be part of the equation. Sheep started to get highlighted, but for us, it also highlighted for us some of the things that we didn't want. And with all the greatest respect, pigs were just, one species that we didn't think really suited us. Just typically what they do to the soil, fairly industrious at getting out of fences and things like that. So it was really good to see, what works and what doesn't, and gives us some context to the decisions that we make. I guess it as Darren would say, it starts to set that holistic context of what's important to you.
Yeah. And so can you just sort of talk about your broilers and your chooks and what you did settle with? Like, what is your enterprise that you're running there?
Okay, so we started. We had chooks around the farmhouse, just a few layers, and we thought, well, let's have a look at some white broilers, the cob or Ross birds. Let's try and grow them in the way that Salatin at the time was espousing. We tried that. it was quite unsuccessful. We lost probably 75% of the flock for a number of reasons. And what it really highlighted to us was that the industrialised animals don't cope well with what we were trying to do. We were trying to raise them, in their natural setting, because I think we believe that, if you're going to care about the welfare of the animal, then the only benchmark that you can really use for the welfare of animals is their native habitat. And certainly the industrialised broilers don't do well in their natural habitat. And so we went looking for heritage breed, true free-ranging chickens, and there's really only one that was available, which was the Sommerlad. We got the rights to those down here. We brought them back, and they were very successful. They were wonderful foragers. They were far slower growing. They were resilient. They were tough. They'd harvest a lot of their own food, and they really suited the sort of agricultural regenerative system that we wanted to create. And so now we grow them using organic principles. We grow them, we'd like to think of them as grown extensively, despite what the regulations might say. And we grow them on with the best welfare. We think we've got the best welfare system currently of probably any, if you want to use the term, broilers in Australia. And that's certainly the way we're going.
Yeah, and you're developing a forest sort of system around your grazing to improve that natural habitat for those chooks as well, aren't you?
Yeah, we are. We started, what we found is when we first had these birds, we put them in our forest that we'd planted, and they really took to it because it's their natural habitat. So now our whole system is revolving around forested laneways with multiple tree crops spread throughout the laneways. Lots more going in this year, but with Darren's help, we've been able to design a system where we'll have forage or food available in the tree rows for 10 months of the year. And when we combine that with no-till in-row planting of habitat crops such as sunflower or corn, or forage crops such as cereals, legumes, we can develop, and it's very early stage, but we can develop systems that allow us to get a lot more out of the property while providing the right habitat and the right food for the chooks.
Yeah, and you're becoming less reliant on that external food sources and bringing those into the property. So
Absolutely.
just to finish up, Bruce, we're talking to everybody we're talking to. We're just asking, what are your top two regenerative principles that you think are the most important, or ones that you have applied within your business or your operation?
I think that the first one is probably animal welfare. I mean, and while it's not specifically regenerative, it is certainly sustainable, because if you don't start with the welfare of the animal, then I don't think there's any way that the system that you can create can be sustainable and therefore regenerative. So you have to put the animal at the peak. I think the second thing that has really struck us is the trees. Mass plantings of multiple, really varied species. You can see what impact that's had, not only for the chooks, but on the ground and the land that, it's created on. So, it's a windy site. So there are just so many benefits of returning so much of it to some native forest, but, introduced some exotics. The impact we've seen is dramatic, and I think that's going to drive us for the next 10 or 15 years is so much replanting.
Yeah, no, that's great. Well, thanks, Bruce. I'm really looking forward to bringing the group down to look at your place, because it's, you've got some unique things within your system that I think will be really interesting, and I'd love to see them, sort of 12 months on from when I saw them last, so and see where things are up to. So thanks for sharing with us today, and we look forward to coming down and seeing you.
Thanks, Glen. Looking forward to seeing you.